Welcome to segment 4 of Governance Building Your Best Board. My name is Jan O'Donnell. In this segment, we will be focusing on how to ensure smooth operations of your board now that you have it in place. Terms of reference are one of the guiding documents, and truly the title is appropriate. Terms of reference. It really lets people know what they need to know before they apply, but also a reminder throughout your term on a board of what are you responsible for and what do you need to be aware of. So they're formal documents, they're approved by the board, they set out the responsibilities of the board and clearly identify what the board is accountable for, and they let the external world know as well what the board is accountable for. It's a standard practice for good governance, and it really helps make the board effective by specifying the types of decisions that the board will make. They'll explain the purpose, both for the board as well as for committees, because terms of reference will also be very relevant for any committee set up by the board, and defines the roles on the board and specific responsibilities, along with board composition and size and other points of reference really that are relevant to the role. They'll address some practical matters such as quorum and how meetings will occur and communications. They'll speak about length of terms, and very importantly, confidentiality and the importance of ethical behavior, and a reminder that the board will be self-evaluating. Terms of reference are really important to review on an annual basis, and reviewing in that context of what is the role of the board and are they still relevant, and are there some changes that would be important to inform ongoing support as a board member. How to operate effectively as a board. So we spoke about terms of reference. The second element is really important to understand the expectations, both as a board member, but also in your particular role within the board. It's important to define these and make sure that they're really crystal clear, both for the individual in each particular role, but also for the board in general. Work plans are a way to map out the specific activities that have been referenced in the terms of reference. They will show what needs to be done and how that'll be done. It'll give you time frames for when you're going to get them done, and it'll really help you to ensure that you don't lose sight of what's important. So it translates the work activities and really creates agenda items for the board through the year. The reality in most sport organizations is that when you're in the high season of your sport, you really become consumed with the day-to-day activities and the urgent operational elements. And the board needs to ensure that they have these work plans to ensure that they are keeping their focus on the important governance activities as well. Again, I mentioned that it's plural here because in the event that you have a committee set up, it's important for each of them to have their own work plans as well. We'll speak in a minute about minutes, the importance of minutes and meeting structure, and policies as well. Policies are really important in terms of they're approved by the board, and they will really guide decision making for staff and volunteers, and they will protect your athletes and your staff and your volunteers. So they will provide some general and specific guidance in a written documented form, which is really important in a smaller organization. We often don't take the time to document them, but documenting them helps to communicate them to future board members and to anybody involved in the organization. We want to specify clearly the length of the term so that as board members are considering commitment, they're realistically considering how long they're committing to, how many meetings are involved, and being really honest about the time that's required. I spoke in a previous segment about my own experience currently on the Nakurtok Board of Directors. Nakurtok is a local cross-country ski club. And for us, the real challenge is acknowledging that the time requirements are a little bit on the high side, and we need to find a way to make them much more reasonable to make the role rewarding. And so being honest about those and then working together to make that much more, fundamentally it comes down to rewarding, to make sure that you're not taxing out your valuable volunteers. Sticking to these time commitments in terms of number of meetings and regularity of meetings is really important. It's very important in terms of governance and ensuring that there's a rotation in terms of your board members, and also thinking about succession in the long run. As a board member, There's a number of expectations. This outlines some of the core ones. Essentially, you are required to actively participate, and you actively participate by regularly attending, by reviewing the material in advance, and coming to meetings prepared to have a really robust, in-depth conversation, asking questions, and actively participating. It's really important as a board that decisions follow a robust process. That includes people being informed, but it also includes questions being asked, and even the dumb questions. It's really important that everybody feels comfortable asking, clarifying, so that they clearly understand, and that will ensure that decisions are well informed. And declaring any potential conflicts of interest, respecting confidentiality, and at the end of the day, really remembering what the role of the board is as a steward for the organization and looking after that long-term sustainability. The importance of minutes is to really track and record what occurred within a meeting. Minutes are kept in a minute book. They're a long-term historical document. We've included some of the specifics that you want to make sure that you include within your minutes. And we all forget, what exactly was it that we agreed to? We remember the essence of it, but the value of those minutes is to accurately capture the discussion and, more importantly, the motions that were put forward and any agreements or approvals that were made by the board. It's a legal requirement, but very helpful just operationally to ensure that those minutes capture the essence of the discussions and the record of the vote. Important to record who was at the meetings, because I will be the first to admit that sometimes you forget which meetings you were at. So it's documenting those motions, who's moving them, who's seconding them. It's a legal requirement, but again, a very... What policies should you have in place? As a board, it's important to be providing control and guidance to all those involved in the club. It's very important that these policies be documented, as they will provide guidance on making the best decisions in a number of different situations. A code of ethics and conduct will provide overall guidance on how the club will operate and the ethics for the club. Conflict of interest, harassment, and conflict resolution will provide really clear guidance in difficult situations and ensure that everybody is well informed and that those decisions are appropriately guided. Having a communication and privacy policy, again, will inform and ensure that everybody is aware and understand how we communicate and respect privacy elements. The most important thing, again, with all of these policies is that they are documented and that they must be approved by the board. Thank you. I welcome you to continue learning by watching segment 5.